What is an anti-inflammatory diet? What is it for, and how do you put it into practice? Let me explain. Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. Welcome to AI Health Talk 360, your YouTube channel for all things health related. We cover everything from nutrition and sexuality to sport. If you haven't already, please subscribe by clicking the button at the bottom left of the screen. Now, let's move on to today's topic. What is an anti-inflammatory diet? First, let's explain what inflammation is. It is our body's normal, natural response to injury, infection, or other types of damage, such as tendinitis or muscle damage. It's a natural phenomenon that helps the body fight infection. So, it's a natural process that fights and helps the body. This is why you shouldn't take anti-inflammatory medication if you have a serious infection, as this could spread the inflammation. Therefore, inflammation is a natural phenomenon that fights and helps our body. So, why do we think it could be harmful? There are two situations in which it can be harmful. First, when there is an excessive reaction and the inflammation itself becomes harmful. For example, when we have a wound, we notice that the edges are slightly red and swollen and it hurts a little. This is the normal reaction. However, if the edges are extremely red and oozing and the inflammation becomes severe, it will hinder the healing process. So, if it becomes excessive or chronic for no reason, it starts to harm the body. For example, chronic inflammation of the digestive tract is known as chronic inflammatory digestive disease. This could manifest as ulcerative colitis, rheumatism, psoriasis, or inflammatory asthma. Asthma is characterized by chronic inflammation. In short, chronic inflammation is like the body perceiving something to fight against when there may be nothing there. The idea is that an inflammatory reaction is a natural response to injury or infection. However, this same reaction becomes problematic if it is excessive in intensity or becomes chronic and persists over time for no other reason. This is what happens in the latter case. Anti-inflammatory treatments are used in both these situations. As I explained, these treatments are not used when the reaction is normal. This is why you should never take these drugs without consulting your doctor first, as it can be difficult to tell the difference between a normal and an excessive reaction. What is the purpose of an anti-inflammatory diet? An anti-inflammatory diet helps the body maintain normal levels of inflammation, preventing it from becoming excessive or chronic. Top-level athletes know this well. If they injure themselves, whether it's a muscle lesion, minor injury, or tendinitis, one of their first thoughts is to consider their diet. They know that if they eat anti-inflammatory foods, the injury won't become chronic and hinder their sporting activity. It is beneficial for people with diabetes and chronic illnesses and helps to prevent the aggravation or development of chronic inflammatory diseases. An anti-inflammatory diet is not intended to combat natural inflammation, such as that experienced in conditions like angina, throat inflammation, and gastritis, intestinal inflammation. Instead, its aim is to prevent these types of inflammation from becoming excessive or chronic. Which foods are inflammatory and which are anti-inflammatory? First, we'll eliminate foods that have an inflammatory effect. Then we'll explain which foods have an anti-inflammatory effect. Foods that have an inflammatory effect mainly include sugars and animal fats. If you bear this in mind, you're well on your way to understanding the inflammatory diet. So what exactly are these anti-inflammatory foods? These include high-fat meats and animal fats, as well as sugars found in soft drinks, processed fruit juices, biscuits, sweets, and cakes. Animal fats include dried and processed meats, such as sausages and deli meats, as well as alcohol. Alcohol and tobacco aren't technically foods, but I'm including them here because they promote inflammation. As I mentioned earlier, people with diabetes are aware that wounds can become infected, so they should avoid these foods. So, which foods have a stronger anti-inflammatory effect? In other words, which foods help the body to avoid excessive or chronic inflammation, or to soothe it? The types of food with the strongest anti-inflammatory effects are: dark chocolate is all about indulgence. By dark chocolate, I mean chocolate with a cocoa content of at least 75%, ideally 80% or more. I often talk to you about oily fish such as salmon and sardines. These are inexpensive foods that are rich in nutrients, proteins, and omega-3, and therefore have an anti-inflammatory effect. Trout and other oily fish are good options too. Red fruits include strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, and pomegranates. Pomegranates have an anti-inflammatory effect. All of these red fruits are very good for the heart. I've already made a video about heart-healthy foods that you can watch: pistachios, almonds, and cashews that are not roasted or salted. This is because if they are roasted and salted, they will contain a lot of oil and lose their nutritional value. Oils used in salad dressings such as olive oil or walnut oil are very good. For example, A drop of walnut oil with a little olive oil in a salad is delicious. Green tea. It has anti-inflammatory properties and can be consumed regularly. It also helps to balance sugar levels, which contributes to this effect. I've talked about it in several videos, including the one on erection-boosting foods. You can find the link in the video description. Turmeric is a product with well-known benefits. Be careful though. Many people want to use it to treat all kinds of illnesses, especially cancers. But it's not a medicine in its own right. It's a potential aid that helps the body become less inflammatory and improves blood circulation. It can be used as a supplement. All vegetables, especially green ones such as spinach, broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower, have an anti-inflammatory effect. I would also advise you to vary your diet as much as possible by including legumes, which unfortunately are rarely used in today's diets, even though they are very interesting. Chickpeas, white beans, green beans, and lentils are particularly beneficial and are full of iron. Adding a dash of lemon, that is vitamin C, helps the body to absorb iron from the intestines. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching it all the way through. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. It's great for the algorithm and helps to boost the channel. Please subscribe, leave us a comment, and tell us what you thought. If you have any other ideas or know anything about anti-inflammatory foods, please tell us in the comments. I'm preparing lots of videos for you, so stay tuned. Take care and see you soon.